Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. Today I'm going to do another fun scan and cut tutorial. Okay, I'm going to show you how to cut out this Bubbles Fizz designer series paper using the Brother Scan and Cut. Now, because I'm using color recognition mode today, because of these bottles, I'm going to go ahead and get started so that I can talk through while it's doing the recognition part. That takes a long time, so let's just get right to it. Okay, so first thing is I turn on my machine and my choices are, I have, pattern and scan. Well, in this case, I'm gonna scan because I wanna cut out, I need to scan and then cut out the bottles. So I'm gonna go ahead and select scan. I'm gonna be directly cutting the bottles. I'm not saving them. I'm gonna be directly cutting them from the paper. Now here's where this differs from many of the tutorials I've done in the past if you've watched them. I usually use black and white recognition mode because there's a lot of contrast between the different patterns on my paper. But in this case, I'm using color recognition mode. Okay, that's how you change it, just right here in the settings. I've already changed it to color. I'm gonna go ahead and load the paper. And I will be taping down my paper, but not right now. When you have a piece of paper, you don't tape it down because you don't wanna block the mat. And on the mat, are the little lines, and the numbers, so you don't want to block that. I'm going to go ahead and say start. I'm going to give it a rub because I don't want it to move around while it's scanning. Okay, then I'll tell you some other important things. Now, the paper, incredible, okay? I just love the colors. I didn't even get the stamp set. I just got the paper. It's really awesome. Okay, so let me get the piece of, I'm just going to go ahead and say, okay. And then let it go ahead and recognize. All right, the paper, Bubbles Fizz designer series paper. Basic gray, Bermuda Bay, Calypso Coral, Daffodil Delight, Lemon Lime Twist, and Whisper White. Okay, already, when you have Lemon Lime Twist, you have a party going on because that's just such a great party color. Okay, so here's like the Bermuda Bay with the stars. I'm already thinking of how to use these stars with the Myths and Magic stamp set with the dragons and wizards. I think that's going to go great with that set. All right, then we have some stripes. I'm just going to go through the papers while it's recognizing. See how long it's going to take to recognize because I'm using color recognition mode. Okay, stripes. And this pattern here this is a Calypso Coral type pattern, and it makes a great, birthday background. And then we have Lemon Lime Twist, the tiny little bottles. Super cute. Now, I would not be using the Brother Scan and Cut for this unless I just wanted to cut out a couple bottles because this pattern is just too nice to keep intact. Small patterns make good backgrounds and treat toppers. Okay, here's a beautiful striped Bermuda Bay pattern. This is bottle caps. I will be cutting out the bottle caps. Let me turn those over. Definitely I can see some Valentine cards with the hearts. I see something I could do with this using the lemon builder punch, something with these bottles. So I have ideas already. So I definitely will be cutting those out. The Brother Scan and Cut. Now we have some hearts, great for Valentine's Day. Now the Brother Scan and Cut would do okay with this kind of heart, but not this heart. I mean, it would cut the little white heart, but not all the little lines around it. So in this case, you maybe use a circle punch, like a 3/4 inch circle punch. I'm going to try that. In fact, I'll try both. Okay, we have little bubbles. Okay, it's still recognizing. This is what happens in Brother Scan and Cut when you use color recognition mode. It takes a while to recognize. Okay, bubbles, hexagons, tiny bottles. These will be fun to cut out. And then we have Lemon Lime Twist bubbles. All right, so here we go. I think it did a great job. Now, the reason it did a great job is because, well, first of all, I'm going to use the regular color threshold of 5 because that's the default. And the contrast was pretty good. And what I did, though, I need to tell you what I did. I just opened my paper minutes ago. Let's find one with the back. Okay, so the reason it did such a good job recognizing, let's just go ahead and say okay. And I'm going to go ahead and put an outline distance around the bottles. 0.04, I like that outline distance. Okay, I'm going to also go back. I'm going to say okay. Let's say okay. is processing. It did a pretty good job. And now, it's saying there's a little bit of a pattern off the grid, but that's okay, because what I want to show you is, without me ignoring object size, there's just a few things I would delete. Let me get my... See, some bottles are not complete. So let me go into this mode here. And I'm going to just go ahead and select these little bits and delete them. I could have also just done ignore object size, and it would ignore little tiny objects under a certain size, but I just want to show you that I want to manually delete them because it's very easy to do. Now, in the case where you have half a bottle cut out, I'm not going to go ahead and cut that bottle out half. I mean, I could and just have a bottle topper and a bottle bottom, but I'd rather leave that bottle intact. So I'm not going to cut that one because it didn't get the whole bottle. Same with that one. This one only got the middle of the bottle. By getting these little bits off from around the edges, it's going to go ahead and tell the scan and cut that I am within the cutting range now. Because remember, I had that little error that came up, and it said something about you're out of range. All that means is it selected objects off of the mat. I mean, off of the size of the cutting mat. No big deal, because when I delete those, when I delete around the edges, I no longer get that message. Okay, I don't mind the rest of these. I mean, I like kind of having some of the bottle circles. I like having some of those things. And this one I can put together later. Maybe that one looks weird. But I don't mind having a couple half bottles because I can do some layering with those. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say cut. Now I have a blade depth of 4, which I use for my designer series paper that are not glitter based. Okay, a blade depth of 4. Just change your blade depth like that. It's very easy. Just spin it. Put it back in its carousel. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And I want to also tell you about the painter's tape. Okay, now I will be using painter's tape because the mats are not very sticky and I want it to go ahead and cut and without, slipping. Now that I've scanned it. But I wanted to put that tape on there, or masking tape is fine. I would not put the tape on until I've done my scanning. Okay, it's going to go ahead and cut. It's going to take 4 minutes to sing. Okay, so the tape is on there. Let's go ahead and move this far away so it's not so noisy in my video. Okay, we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple other things. So, Sale-A-Bration. When you spend $50 or more on any product, it doesn't matter if it's from the annual catalog, the occasions catalog, which I'm now allowed to show you, or even the clearance rack. If you spend $50 or more, you will get this pack of designer series paper. And I would say they're about $11 value. That's usually what designer series paper costs. So it's a great deal. This is the time to get things on Sale-A-Bration. And this is the occasions catalog that you can order from. Okay. And there's just, these are just different projects made with this series. Bubbles and Fizz. Okay, lots of great things going on. I have other videos on products that I've created with these products. Like I have videos on the True Gentleman Suite, so please check out my videos on 10 projects you can create with this particular suite. I have tutorials on Mist and Magic. Okay, so it's still cutting. I would stop my video, but if you have any idea how long it takes me to encode videos to put on YouTube using my software, you would understand why I try not to pause it if I'm going to be under 10 minutes or so. All right, here we go. Here's the Bubbles and Fizz set, which you can purchase. All right, so it's called Bubble Over Bundle, where you can get the dies to do what I'm doing, where you can cut out the bottles with the dies. And you might say, hey, that would have saved me a lot of time. I like this, Have a Birthday Brew, and here's the bottles. Okay, for the stamp set and coordinating dies. All right, so I want to just tell you back to what I did here is because even though I'm using color recognition mode, there's not a lot of contrast. I mean, there's not a continuous shape here on this bottle. Also, there's not a lot of contrast between these colors. So what I did is I took a pencil and I just colored in all these lines to fill in these gaps. And that's why I had such success. Because if you're trying the same thing at home and you're like, I don't have as much success as the Papered Chef had when I'm trying to cut out these bottles, okay, using the Brother Scan and Cut, it's because you didn't use a pencil. Okay? I'm going to show you that. Like this. Now, you can erase it after you cut out because you're using pencil, you're not using pen. So there you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's why most of my bottles cut out. Now, I didn't always have good pencil marks, that's why not all of them were recognized. Also, one thing about the Brother Scan and Cut is it recognizes differently, like different parts of the mat. So sometimes if you don't get the whole mat to recognize it, just, turn your paper or turn your mat around. You might have more success on the other side. All right, so we're coming up to the end. Very exciting. And we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this back. Okay. Oh, there goes my tablecloth. Hello, crafty friends. This is the Papered Chef here. As much as I didn't want to make a second video because of the time it will take to encode, I need to go ahead and do that because it got cut off. My camera does that when it gets full or when the video gets to be a certain length, it just cuts me off. All right, but let me just show you. Here are the results. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with the bottle caps, okay? And you'll get to see kind of how I work. I just go ahead and cut the whole pack up when I get it, usually my Brother Scan and Cut. Here are the results of what we just did. We used color recognition mode, a blade depth of 4, pencil marks. I put pencil marks too on my bottles, okay? And they're very easy to erase. You'll never know they were there. So I'm just erasing the pencil marks, see how they're around. And I have an outline distance of 0.04. Okay, so this is the result. I mean, I think it came out excellent. I can do a lot with these bottles for my spring, summer projects. And then to remove them all off your mat, when you just, bend your mat a little bit, and I didn't always get full bottles because I didn't always catch those pencil marks, but that's okay because I can do some cool layering with these pieces of the bottles. But anyway, to get these off the mat easily, you just bend your mat. Okay? And that's it. It makes all the shapes come off easily. So what I'm going to do, since I'm already making a part 2, and my followers, subscribers, what you want to call them, they always thank me for making Brother Scan and Cut tutorials. I get tons of messages in my inbox asking for more tutorials on the Brother Scan and Cut and with the different designer series papers. Because people are afraid to cut through their mat, not knowing the settings, or they're not really sure how to go about changing their settings. So I usually don't use color recognition mode, but I did today because I wanted to make sure my crafty friends can have good results. All right, my mat is clear. What I'm doing now is I'm going to go ahead and do the bottle caps. I know they're going to be easy to do. We're just going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn on my machine. Because it went off while I was getting the video off the camera. Okay, I'm going to hit home. I'm going to hit scan. And I'm going to say direct cut because I'm going to be directly cutting out these bottle caps. Now this time, there's a lot of contrast around the bottle caps. Go ahead and change to black and white, grayscale here, recognition mode. Okay, black and white, grayscale. No need to waste time doing color. Load the mat. Press start. Now, always give it a good rub. Okay, I have spatulas. I use either spatulas from the Pampered Chef, or I use them from, here's my Cricut spatula. That's a glitter on it. I have to use that while it's scanning because I don't want to cover up those lines. I want to make sure I get a good scan. Let it figure out its orientation, okay? But now that it has recognized that I'm about to cut, now I will go ahead and use masking tape or painter's tape to hold that mat down. All right, let's give it a whirl. Let's go ahead. Say okay. I think that just did a fantastic job. There's really not much else for me to do. it's up to decide. Do I want an outline distance? Well, why not? I kind of like the outline distances as long as they don't overlap. If it tells me they're going to overlap, I will have to change that. And I'm going to ignore small object sizes. I know the bottle caps are about 1 inch wide, so if I'm get rid of the 1/2 inch ones, then you know we're good to go. It'll get rid of a lot of those items, and then I'll show you how to get rid of them manually with my stylus. Any little bits that are left. It's recognizing. It's processing. I'm just taping down my mat because I know I'm about to cut it using some masking tape. Great job. All right, I'm going to go ahead and in this mode here, in this editing mode, I'm going to hit anything that's selected in red, and I'm going to trash it. It'll go to the next item already when I'm done trashing one, but if not, you can hit this. These arrows will toggle between all the selected items on the screen. And what I'm doing is I'm deleting the 1/2 bottle caps. No sense cutting them, it would just take too long. Okay, and there we go. We got our full bottle caps. Some of these only got the middle of the bottle cap. So in that case, I don't want to waste that one. You know why? I can use a circle punch and get a better result. I don't want to waste a middle. No, it's okay if a couple middles cut out. I'll leave a couple because you know what? I can do some cool 3D layering with that. So here's a bunch of middles and a bunch of outsides. Now you can watch how my little scatterbrain works here, right? Okay. I might say, hey, that might be cool. Because you have a bottle cap and then you have the middle of the bottle cap. And then you use some foam dimensionals. And next thing you know, you have a 3D bottle cap. And that would be awesome in itself. Just like this. Like, for example, you know, I cut out part of the bottle. Well, I might like that bottle on there better, or whatever. And I can just kind of layer that up and make it 3-dimensional. All right, so this is going to take a long time to cut. So I will be back for part 3 and show you what else we can do with the Bubbles and Fizz paper. I'll show you the results of this bottle caps and might do a couple others. I think I'll try, since I'm going to make a part 3 anyway, I like to share good things with my crafty friends. I'll go ahead and cut out some hearts, maybe some tiny bottles. I won't make you wait and see all the settings for those because I'll just tell you what they were. I'll show you the results of those. So please stick with me for the next section of the video. Thank you. Hello, crafty friends. This is the Papered Chef here. I wanted to wrap up this very long video on the Brother Scan and Cut and how to cut out the Bubbles and Fizz Designer Series paper. Okay, I left off where I said I'm going to go try a few different patterns, and we started cutting these, and then I closed the video. Now these are the bottle caps. They came out fantastic. Okay, I can just imagine doing something with the lemon builder punch and this bottle cap, or these bottle caps. I mean, and then something for Valentine's Day with the heart bottle caps. So great job on those. So as a review, this was blade depth of 4, and we used black and white recognition mode and an outline distance of 0.04. Okay, then I cut out these little bottles. They came out fantastic. I didn't use the pencil marks on the tiny bottles, so only every other bottle cut out, not the pink bottles. But that's okay, they did a great job. I used a blade depth of 4. I used no outline distance on these bottles. Okay, and I can just imagine lots of fun projects with these tiny bottles. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the hearts. Let me pick those up. I cut out hearts. I used an outline distance of 0.04. You see how it outlined the starburst, and then it recognized the little hearts as well. Outline distance of 0.04, blade depth of 4, and that's the result of the heart paper. I think that's all the paper I'll be cutting out, and I'm going to start working on some projects using this. So be sure to tune into my blog, thepaperedchef.com, because I always put my finished products there along with all the dimensions I use and how I create the projects. Okay, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel.